All right, welcome to the Fallout Central podcast. Check us out every week at www.falloutcentral.com or directly in the iTunes Music Store by typing in keyword Fallout Central. Now, today's feature. The New York Times Book Review named it an Editor's Choice book. USA Today, NPR, and the Times of London all called it one of the best novels of 2007. David Henry Hwang describes it as wise, generous in spirit, and hilariously incisive. The book is free food for millionaires. Min Jin Lee's debut novel about class, identity, sex, and every other battle zone in New York City. The story's hero is Casey Han, a young woman fresh out of college and tough beyond her years, but with plenty to learn from the world. The book has just been released in paperback by Grand Central Publishing, part of Hachette Book Group USA, and today we are honored and delighted to have with us in the studio Miss Min Jin Lee. How you doing?
Hey.
How you like that intro?
It was really, really generous. I keep thinking, like, who are they talking about?
All right, now you've just started a nationwide tour, and your face is on banners that are like larger than life in bookstores right now. So you're giving readings in front of crowds of people who've read your book. Tell us what it's like to be Min Jin Lee, the acclaimed novelist.
Well, most of the time I don't really believe it. I actually kind of think, well, it took me 12 years to publish my first novel. My first 3 books didn't work out. My first book was formally rejected by all the publishers. My other 2 books I couldn't complete. So then the fact that this actually sold and it's doing well is really quite, it's miraculous to me. It's really miraculous to me because most first literary novels sell, if they sell about 2,000 copies and they go out of print. And that's very normal. It's a very respectable thing to have published the first book and then for it to go out of print. Lots of people that I know have done this. So, and who knows, I might go out of print, I hope not. But this is what happens. So the fact that people have liked it and I can see it at an airport bookstore, it's kind of a shock.
Can you tell us about how you started writing?
Well, I started to write essays for the Korea Times when I was in high school. And I remember it being a really exciting thing because my father would be really so happy that I had something in the Korea Times, which is a newspaper that he read as well as people of his own generation. And it was in the English edition, which is the 2 pages found in the insert of the regular Korean paper. And even though there are a lot of things that I did, it was a thing that really made me feel special. And I think that I wrote a lot in college as well, and I published, but I stopped doing it after college because I went to law school.
And you won a few fiction prizes in college, is that right?
I won 1 fiction prize and I won 1 nonfiction prize for essay writing.
Okay, then tell us the story about going from Min Jin Lee, workaday lawyer, to Min Jin Lee, novelist.
Well, being a lawyer was really difficult. And I remember thinking my parents worked in a very small, ugly wholesale jewelry store in Manhattan's Koreatown for 20 years, 6 days a week. And I thought, gosh, they can have such a lousy job. I'm sure I could be a lawyer and work in an office and wear fancy clothes, and I can do that. But I remember I actually worked longer hours than my parents did. I actually worked a lot longer hours than my parents did. And it was really embarrassing because I thought I'm wearing these golden handcuffs, which people talk about. And I thought, I don't have to do this. I really don't have to do this. And I had a liver disease, which made it very clear to me that working that hard and getting sick would be something that I had to think about very carefully. So that was like a big impetus for me to quit. I think that if I didn't have the liver disease that I used to have, which I don't have anymore, I might still be a lawyer.
Okay. Okay, now, if I had to describe the novel in one word, brace yourself, it would be sprawling. Okay, so the book's pushing 600 pages.
Yes.
I have to carry it outside of my backpack. It shifts perspective constantly, and it fleshes out even the most seemingly insignificant characters. Who were your literary influences behind this novel, and what was your approach to writing it?
Well, My favorite books are all 19th century books, and all 19th century books that are classics that I really admire work in that same kind of way. They're community books, and they are written in omniscient narration, which means that you are in every single's point of view. So to be in William's point of view, Albert's point of view, my point of view, and John's point of view in this room, and how we think about each other as well as what we say. And I really wanted to have a world in which Asian American characters are central, and then to see how we think about each other and how our relationships look to each other as well as how they actually are.
Now, here's another question. If Casey Han, okay,
Yes.
were to write a personal ad, what would that look like? And feel free to be as mushy as you want to get.
A personal ad
Yeah.
in like Match.com?
Yeah, or whatever, as one of those magazines.
Or
where they have
nerve.com.
Yeah.
Whatever you like.
nerve.com.
Lava Life.
Lava Life. I think she would probably say something like, I'm thoughtful. I think really fast. I'm interested in you.
Sounds
Wow.
good.
Yeah, that sounds pretty accurate, I guess. All right. How much of you is in Casey, right? And for one thing, the biographical details of your lives are a little similar,
I think that the biographical details which are similar are very conscious and very intentional, but they pretty much stop at a very, very early part, which I think is kind of funny because my character Casey Han went to Princeton and she grew up in Elmhurst, Queens, and her parents were working class people. I can say for me, I did grow up in Elmhurst, Queens until I went to college. My parents were a little better off than Casey's parents. Casey's parents are managing a dry cleaning business. My parents owned a small business, which is a very different distinction. And then also, let's say we both went to Ivy League schools. Now, I personally got married when I was 24. I went to law school. I didn't quit. I practiced being an attorney. I've never smoked a cigarette. I actually don't have any credit card debts. And I'm actually one of the most fiscally prudent people you'll ever meet. So I think those kinds of distinctions are different. However, it's really fun for me to get in that character. And also, I've never hit anybody. I've never walked in on a three-way. These are things my character has done.
Okay. Wonder Woman is a recurring theme in the book. What is her significance? Well, I'll say it recurs in the kind of accoutrements that Casey wears and the pop culture references in her life. So what's her significance to Casey and to you?
Actually, Wonder Woman is such a strong part of this book that the Times of London asked me to write a book review about Wonder Woman written by Jodi Picoult. So I wrote about it recently. But the reason why Wonder Woman is so important is because when I was a kid, I watched a lot of television. I'm sure neither of you have watched a lot of television, but I did when I was a kid. And Wonder Woman was one of those shows. And she was really interesting to me because, first of all, she was a female brunette beauty who had superpowers, and she was an Amazon, and she was also really big, and I'm very tall, I'm 5'8".
You are.
Yeah.
You're extremely tall.
You intimidated the hell out of us when you came
Hell
in
yeah.
here.
Oh, I was like, whoa.
I don't know why. I'm just... What does Jessica Rabbit say? She goes, I'm not bad, I'm just drawn that way.
I was when you walked in, I was like, whoa, somebody as tall as Albert. I can't believe it.
Yeah, and I think I was interested in this notion of superpowers and of being a superhero and having outside qualities, probably because when I was growing up, I was incredibly shy. And there are all these things I wanted to do. So for me, I was this really dorky kid who wanted to imagine herself as being more powerful than she was. And I guess a female cartoon character was where I connected with her.
Okay. The relationships in this book, particularly the interracial ones, are very complex. In turns, the book seems to praise and scorn, exalt and demonize Asian men as well as white men. Was there any grand meaning behind all